Hello and welcome. We're sitting in a secret hidden valley in South Wales, and this is day 4 of a vision quest where we have some very beautiful and also courageous souls out on the land. They've had 4 days now with just water, their own company, so there's no contact and very basic shelter in what has been. It's a glorious day today, but this is the best day that they've seen. And very fortunate, as always, to have David Wendl-Berry leading the show. And I like to call David the OG of Vision Quest in the UK, because he is the original gangster. He practically introduced Vision Quest into the UK 35 years ago, after spending nearly a decade learning from and working with and apprenticing with the cultural leaders and ceremony leaders and medicine men of the indigenous tribes in North America. And one of the questions always comes to me is, if you've had 35 years of doing vision quests, where that's hundreds of people that have gone through there, why do they do it? You know, we've all got our individual reasons. So David, what's your answer? Why do people do vision quests?
Well, the vision quest is a rite of passage. It's specifically designed to facilitate change. The one thing that people are more scared of than anything else is change. So they come and do a vision quest, and there's all kinds of changes like getting divorced, getting married, changing career is a big one, or moving house is another big one. And all those changes can be facilitated by doing a vision quest. But that's not all of it. I mean, people come for all kinds of reasons. There are people who just want to go deeper into knowing themselves better, or facing their fears is a big one. Because spending 4 days and nights out on your own in a wilderness area, it's great in the summer and in the day, but when night time comes, it takes on a very different character, and all their fears can begin to come up. And it's a good way of working with that and seeing where that takes you. So, yeah, there are as many different vision quests as there are people doing it.
Do you want to share the quick story how you started, how you did your first vision quest?
Oh my God. Oh yeah, that's a long story.
Well, let's go for it. Let's go for it.
Well, like all major changes, you know, it can start with something really simple. For me, it was a phone call. I was busy at work and the phone went, and a friend of mine said, David, we've got a Native American medicine man giving a talk at our Buddhist centre. Do you want to come? I said, nah, not really interested in that. And he said, well, you're only going to stay at home and get stoned, so you might as well come. So I went, and there was a room full of people, and this Indian was sitting down there called some bear, and I just sat down. He talked about sweat lodges and pipe ceremonies and the prophecies of his people, which is okay. I was mildly interested. And then he started talking about vision quests, and my stomach went, and I started to feel pressure inside. And the more he talked about it, I started to gag, and I thought, any minute now I'm going to throw up. And I was so concerned not to throw up that I kind of stopped listening to what he was saying, and I was trying to control myself. Why do I need to throw up? You know, it was all building up. And then he finished talking, everybody got up and left, and he came over to me and he said, are you okay? I said, no. I told him what happened, and he laughed and said, you got to do one, kid. Absolutely no way am I going to do a vision quest. It absolutely terrified me, and I had no idea why. So he left, he went back to America, and I went back to work. And it was like, that incident was like a little worm had been planted in my head. And literally every day it would stir, and I'd just get the words vision quest coming into my head. And after a year of that, I just thought, I got to stop this. The only way I can stop this is to actually do it. So I thought, oh, that's it. It's okay. It can't be that hard. So, you know, I booked up a flight to Washington State and flew out there, met Sun Bear, and he said, so, you want to do a vision quest? I said, yeah. He said, okay, follow me. Up the mountain. No preparation, no counselling, nothing. Up the mountain. He said, there's your place. There's your water. see you in 5 days, bye, and walked off. And it's only as I saw him disappearing into the forest that I suddenly realised, what the hell am I doing? This is insane. I'm going to die out here because everything is going to eat me, you know, bears and rattlesnakes, scorpions, wolves. Well, they weren't any wolves, but they were coyotes, and I thought they were wolves because they all bark.
You're from London.
But, you know, it's amazing how things kind of unravel for you. I went through probably maybe 10 minutes of total panic. I really didn't understand what I was doing. All I knew was that I was there for 4 days and nights without any food. And I'd never done fasting before. So that was a bit daunting. And after a panic, and I kind of realised, well, there's no way home now. You know, I'm here. I didn't know quite where I was, on the top of a mountain up in Washington State. So I realised I couldn't go anywhere else. So I thought, well, it was such a beautiful day, like today actually, really nice, hot and sunny. I thought, well, you know, I might as well make fun of it, you know. And on the ground there were hundreds of pine cones. So I decided to make little castles out of pine cones. And I made little pine cone spirals and pine cone mountains, and it just whiled away the day, really. And then I made a huge, great big circle of pine cones. And I sat on this rock and I looked at it and thought, oh, that's nice. And then I noticed that right in the middle of it, there's a branch going like this across the ground. I thought, how come I didn't notice that before? It was right in the middle. I mean, I must have gone around it several times. And then I looked at it a bit closer and I noticed that there was a strange creature on the branch. And I went up close to have a look. And it was a praying mantis. And it was half in and half out of its skin. Whoa, that was really weird. So I thought I'd watch it and see what happens, you know, thinking it was going to come out of its skin. So I sat there and watched it. And it didn't move. Literally an hour and a half goes by. I'm still watching it. And no motion at all. But the sun had moved. And it was in the shade. So I went over and I picked up this whole branch and moved it over and put it back in the sun. I sat down and then something really unusual happened. The mirrors opened up and I realised I was there praying. I was there shedding my skin. I was there putting myself in the sun, in the light. And as soon as that happened, the whole vision quest just took on a whole new meaning. I thought, oh wow, this is very intriguing. I've never experienced anything like it. But it's like, this is nature responding to me. This is nature informing me, nature showing me. You know? And it was a mirror of what I was doing. So from that moment, it took on a whole new energy. And I thought, now I begin to get a handle on what I'm doing, or what's happening to me. It wasn't that I was doing anything. It's that the vision quest was doing it to me. And it was informing me on so many different levels. I really couldn't keep track of it. Anyway, the days go by, and I think it was on the third day, I was just sitting there, and the views from this little place was just outstanding. We were right up in the Cascade Mountains, and there was a ledge right at the edge of my sight place. On one side there was a tree, and that tree had been hit by lightning the night before. So I wanted a bit of the lightning medicine, so I peeled a bit of the bark off and put it in my pipe bag. Actually, it wasn't my pipe bag, it was my tobacco pouch, actually.
the modern version of the metal pipe bag.
It was where I had all the roll-ups, you know. I was sitting on the edge. There's a big drop, and the view was right across the mountains. I was just sitting there, looking at the view. I'm just sitting there quietly, and then I looked down, and this dragonfly landed on my knee. And my God, its wings were translucent, and it was quite big. Never seen one that big before. Just sitting there, and I looked at it, and you know, on the third day, you're really out of your head anyway. You're kind of in a very altered state because of the fasting and the isolation and the exposure and all that. I just looked down. I said, "Oh, hello," and it looked up at me and said, "Hello." I said, "How are you?" He said, "I'm all right, thanks. How are you?" I said, "Well, I'm feeling really tired." He said, "Yeah, I know. I've been watching you for 3 days." I thought, "Oh." And off he went. He flew away. And I had a conversation with the dragonfly. But the intriguing thing was, it didn't feel unusual. It felt totally normal. And I didn't pay any attention to that anymore. It was a nice thing that happened, but no big deal, because that's what normally happens. So I felt at the time. So I got to the 4th day, and I'm sitting in the same place. I'm just gazing out across the mountains. I see this little black speck going across mountains, moving very, very slowly. And I thought, what is that? Not an aeroplane, because you usually have a light or something on it. And it was just moving. You know what you'd like with your mind. You start to fantasize, don't you? So I started thinking, oh no, of course I know what that is. That's a golden eagle. So I'm going to call it. Shouted out, "Eagle, come and visit me." And it stopped. I thought, that's weird. Eagles don't hover. It stopped. What can it be? It's just hanging there. And I watched it for about 10 minutes, and it was just there. I thought, well, what is that? It's kind of floating in midair. It's not doing anything. But then I realised it wasn't stationary at all. It changed direction. It was just slowly moving towards me. I thought, hang on a minute. That can't be right. It's really coming. Oh my God, it is coming. And then I watched it, and it got closer and closer and closer, until it flew 8 feet above my head. And it wasn't a golden eagle. It was a huge, what are they called? Bald eagles. It was a huge bald eagle, and its wings right up, black wings, big white head, and it just flew right over me. And as it did, it looked down. And as I looked at it, I just burst out into floods of tears. No idea why. They certainly weren't tears of fear or tears of pain. They were tears of joy. And then it just flew off, and then I packed up my stuff and I left. And as I got halfway down the mountain, I kind of stopped and thought, hang on a minute, did I really have a conversation with a dragonfly? No, it must have been hallucinating. I was certainly hallucinating the friggin' eagle. I called it and it came. It must have been my mind doing that. And as I was walking back down towards my tent, I passed this woman and I stopped her and said, "You didn't happen to see an eagle fly over yesterday?" She said, "Oh yeah, that big bald eagle." And I thought, oh, that was real. And I realised that whole journey all happened in a different reality. And I didn't think much that, at the time you don't think that deep changes are taking place. You don't really understand it because you're in it. It was only like 4 days later, I was back in my cutting room at London Weekend Television, and everything had changed. I suddenly realised that all my habits had disappeared, and I was literally feeling like a different person. It was an extraordinary experience, and that happened in 1984. And even now, I can remember everything that happened on that vision quest. It just blew me away. I've done many vision quests since, but most of them I can't remember. But that first one always sticks to you, as you probably will find out.
Yeah.
You're halfway through your preparation, the results of your vision quest.
It's interesting because my first encounter with vision quest and the concept of vision quest was 3 years ago, and it was actually that almost like that deep spiritual kind of like psychological change that appealed to me. But sometimes I speak to people and you talk about vision quests, and especially amongst men, they kind of have this idea that it's about survival, it's about endurance. And obviously from my own vision quest experience, and then seeing what happens in as a guide and other people on vision quest, it's far from that. The survival, the endurance, the isolation, the fasting, all of that create the conditions for what is a much deeper, and I'll use the word soulful, spiritual experience. What do you think is the your that first vision quest and your teachings came from the indigenous peoples of North America. What's your thoughts and your take on the fact that obviously 35 years later you've been doing them in this country and we're doing them in this country? That is it right? Is it right that we do it here? Is it actually vital that we do it here?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, in America, Native Americans have been doing vision quests for thousands of years, and they were basically my teachers. And my first vision quest was with a Native American medicine man. So I was exposed to, and I grew up through a lot of Native American ceremonies and Native American images and myths, stories, and that was my vision quest was in that context. When I started running vision quests here, that still applied, and I ran vision quests for 2 years, and some bear died, and I went into a bit of a meltdown. Like my main teacher is gone, and I kept on thinking, who do I apprentice to now? I didn't know, there were certainly no medicine men in this country, and I knew I couldn't afford to go back to America, so I was stuck, and I had no idea what the hell to do with this. And my friend John, who's been working with me, he said, "Oh, maybe you should do a vision quest." I said, "Yeah, of course. What else am I going to do?"
I have a question. Let's go to vision quest.
So he took me to a place where I went up the mountain with the question, Who should I apprentice to now? And I got the question. I got the answer in less than 5-10 minutes. It's always the answer you don't want. And the answer was just that you now apprentice to the land itself. But I never really understood that. I always thought, oh God, this is the spirits having a joke on me, And I couldn't get my head around it. And I couldn't understand, how do I apprentice to the land itself? I wanted somebody I could argue with. Somebody who's going to tell me what to do, another voice, another being who knows this stuff telling me what to do. None of that. So I really didn't understand, and I really didn't know what to do. So I kind of shelved it. But then I just kept running vision quests. So every year, I'd go off into the mountains and do my own vision quest. And it was several years later I realised that's what I'm doing. I'm apprenticing to the land, because every time I did a vision quest I'd come back and I'd have a different perspective on it, or I'd have another idea of how to do it. It's almost as if the land itself was telling me how to run vision quests. So I do not run Native American vision quests in this country at all. I run Welsh vision quests, because nearly all of them I do are Wales, And it's interesting. I go up there, I go out into the wilderness, I fast, and then I start thinking, when we run a vision quest, we get all these people, coming. A lot of them are really, especially young people, they're really terrified of being in the dark. They're, oh, I know, I can do a night walk. That wasn't part of my training as a vision quest guide, but it seemed as if it was a good idea. So we organised, a little trail that they could take in the dark. It takes about 10-15 minutes to walk it, maybe, and get them to ask a question to the darkness. It could be, what do I need to get through this? And the answer will come, just continue. It could be as simple as that. But when you get an answer, you have another question, then you get another answer, then you have another question, you get another answer, and then you're in a dialogue with the darkness. And when that happens, your fear goes out the window, and the darkness becomes like an ally. And I had one woman come back and she said, I was really scared of the dark. Now it feels as if the darkness is a black cloak that wraps itself around me and keeps me safe. So the darkness, instead of being something to be scared of, has now become an ally. So we use that as just part of the vision quest. And over the years, John and I customized it and made it applicable to our land and our culture. So we don't run Native American vision quests, we run Welsh ones.
One of the things you first shared with me as a mentor and as a teacher of being a vision quest guide was, and it was a great relief, because it felt like it took some pressure off, in that you said, our role is to prepare them, to get them there. But the moment that they step through that threshold, then it's the land, it's their relationship and connection and what they go through that is the teacher. You know, and we're not there to fix anything. We're not therapists.
No.
We're people, you know, that can connect, that understand what they're going through. And yes, we have practices, we have an understanding, we've got our own experiences, know what they're going to experience. But ultimately they're there as recipients of what nature is there to teach them. And initially, as someone who came from a very constructed kind of head background, you know, there's a logical reason for everything. That was quite an interesting concept to take on board. But having done it in my own experiences, that yeah, it's like things happen on a vision quest when you're in that space. That it's, and the word you use is that it's choreographed for you. We don't do anything. We just get the choreography. We get them there, and then whatever the connection that they have with themselves and with nature and with whatever spirit or whatever's driving them, it's all done for them. And that's all we do. We're the interpreters.
All we do is keep them safe.
Yeah, keep them safe and help them to interpret.
They come to us. We prepare them by telling them about the different processes and all the different things that they need to know when they're out there, and then we let them speak to us, and they tell us why they want to do it, and we help them just to get focused on what their purpose is and what life changes they're going through. And once they know that, we let them go, and they step into what we call the spirit world, because it's over the 4 days and nights they are going to be in that spirit world. It's a different reality. So they step out thinking they're normal, which they usually are when they step out. But when the isolation and the exposure and the fasting kick in, they move into a very altered state. But they don't know it because they're in it. There's no one there for them to get a reference point from. So they think, oh, you know, they're normal, whatever. But really, they're totally out of their heads.
In the best kind of way.
In a very different level of consciousness. And when they're in that space, that's when nature starts to feed them. Nature starts giving them stories, giving them reflections of what they're going on. That we call that mirroring. Which is what I had when I did my first vision quest, when I saw all that stuff. So nature is constantly informing them, but they're so crazy in their heads that they can't hear it until they're doing a vision quest. And it's the fasting, the isolation, and the exposure. It quietens their head down. So they're not in their heads anymore, they're more in their bodies. And that's when, you know, nature starts teaching them all kinds of stuff. And, you know, somebody will get, you know, maybe images of their future, some people get images of their past. It depends what they're carrying. So each person is going to have a very different experience of the vision quest. No two people have the same vision quest. They go through the same process, but the vision quest works on your inner state. And everybody has a different one. So, you know, each person, as we tell them, each person gets exactly what they need, but it's not what they want.
No, I was just going to say.
It's certainly not what they expect, that's for sure.
It's great if what you get is confirmation of what you already think, but sometimes it's not. It's more of a realization of what you've been denying, or what you weren't even aware of.
Most of the time I've done so many vision quests, but I've no idea what I'm going to receive when I'm out there. You just have to be open to it. And it's almost as if nature is teaching you. And as you mentioned earlier, we don't do the choreography, but there is an intelligence that does. Because sometimes what somebody is going through, when you listen to their story from beginning to end, you can see that is an incredible journey that's really unfolding, and it's totally pertinent to them. And there is an intelligence behind that story, and there's a choreography behind that story, and every single thing that happens on that journey is pertinent to that person and vital. The trick is that once you see it, you connect to it, and that's what you bring home. You bring back your own myth, if you like. It's just a mind-blowing thing, because
There's definitely a difference in, if you to take Sunday afternoon, you have your lunch, you go out, and you have a walk in nature, and even if you're out there for 3 or 4 hours, yeah, it's beautiful, and you might see things, but there's something very different that happens when you're in that same spot, and it's almost like nature, as you said, like the dragonfly, it's been observing you. It sits there, it's watching you, it's waiting to see how you are. And whether it's, from my Vision Quest experience, or where I've gone on pilgrimage, and you're spending days just kind of on the land on your own, it responds differently to you. And sometimes it's not a case of it's responding to you, it's coming to you.
Yeah.
It's coming to you because it almost thinks, right, I've got something to tell you.
Yeah.
It might not be in physical words, but there's lessons in everything, and whatever part of it that's open in you, that's open, is hearing that and seeing that at a different level.
That's the skill of being the Vision Quest guide, We give them a little bit of preparation, we give them a little bit of guidance and a little bit of understanding of what's going on with them and what they might have to, look at and deal with. Then we let them go.
Yeah.
And they leave us. They step through the threshold circle, and as far as we're concerned, they're invisible to us.
Yeah.
They're not in our world anymore. It's like we hand them over to nature.
I suppose after 35 years for you, it's such a normal thing for you. But
no, nature is never normal.
But I mean,
I'd like to think it would be, but it's not.
Watching people step out of that threshold, and they literally are going off in the distance, and as you said, from that point on, they're invisible to us.
Yeah.
Even though we still carry them in some way emotionally. It's a profound moment, even on this side.
Yeah.
Watching that, and then the return, and listening to them tell their story back, and seeing the mirrors, and it's a privilege doing this work, I must be honest.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And what is the real gift is when they come back. And it's the look in their eyes when they come back, which is their gift to us.
Yeah.
That's why we do it.
Yeah.
We love to see that look. Because you just look at them once and they're not who they were when they stepped out of the circle. They're someone else.
Absolutely not.
The way they move, the way they carry themselves is stronger. And their eyes are really clear. And they look lighter on their feet. And we do too when we come back, when we do our Vision Quest. We come back, we feel that. So yeah, it's an awesome process to go through. Absolutely mind-boggling. I've been taking people through Vision Quest for 35 years, and I still haven't a clue how it works.
Well, it does. We know it does. That's the bit.
But the thing is,
bit.
we know it does.
Yeah.
We know it changes people on a hugely deep level.
Yeah.
And so we trust that. And we can put people out and allow them to be taught by nature, or just helping them to open up to nature.
Yeah.
And they come back wide open, crystal clear, and strong in who they are.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It is a beautiful thing.
Absolutely life-changing.
It is. So, if you are considering a Vision Quest, then please get in touch. So there are a number of options in terms of doing Vision Quests, with David running our group sessions, which we help out on. This is probably our last one for this season, and they'll open back up in next spring. But there are things that you can do to begin this process. So if you do feel called, then by all means drop us a line, or you can visit David's website, which is www.earthencounterscom. There you go. Thank you very much, David. It's a privilege.
Thank you.
And can't wait for our new fledglings to return tomorrow morning and see those smiles again.
We hope. Yeah.
We hope. No, you've not lost one yet, have you, David?
No,
we've never lost one. We've never lost one. Right. Thanks very much, David.
You're welcome.